Hi, how are you? My name is Amanda. I am a psychic medium, and today I'm going to do, in my second video on my spiritual protection or psychic self defense course, I'm going to cover shielding, what it is, how you do it, simple things that you yourself can do for a form of spiritual protection and to keep unwanted energy off of you. It's what it is. What shielding is a barrier of light that offers protection, both spiritual and physical. You know, if you are around the public a lot and you're very empathic or very intuitive, and you tend to find that public can be exhausting or overwhelming to you, or say you're in a situation where you don't feel safe, or you live somewhere where you don't feel very safe because you're in college or whatever's going on where you just don't really have a choice in the matter. These are things you can do to offer, besides caution, an additional measure of protection for yourself. I've been shielding since I am 56. I've been doing this since I was 12 or 13. My mother taught me how to do it. And why I do it, it keeps me protected. Like, say if I'm out being empathic and psychic, I'll be around someone who's depressed, and their depression can just like wash over me. And all of a sudden, for no reason, I'm like, what's the use of living? And I started realizing it wasn't me. And what happened to me, because sometimes I forget to do it, or I'm in a rush, or it just doesn't occur to me to do it. I'm out around the public and I can get around someone who's really down or having a very hard time in their life, and I will start picking up on their energy. Or say it's someone close to me, a friend, family, whatever. This is something that I do on a consistent basis to make it where I can be empathic or intuitively aware or psychic at my discretion. So it's my decision whether I'm picking up on others' energy or not. It's not something that I'm at the whim of. In fact, I'm fully convinced that one of the things that makes a psychic the best psychic they can be is the ability to turn it on and turn it off at will. The ability to decide when you're reading for people, when you're picking up on emotions, spirit, just psychic impressions, whatever. If I'm out and somebody who's deceased and they're trying to contact me, and this way I don't have that happen, because not everybody's open to that. And you start asking somebody about, do you have an aunt who's in spirit? They're going to start looking at you like you're a crazy person. It's cool that they do it on the TV series and stuff, but I don't tend to find that people react very well to it, because you just don't know who that might be against their beliefs, or they might consider it evil, or what have you. So I've learned that unless asked, I don't bring things up, because people have boundaries and they have their rights to their privacy. And it's just kind of like, if I'm doing it without their permission, I feel like I'm invading their privacy. I do it to protect against people who drain your energy, who make you tired. Like I talked about in my solar plexus video, about how there will be people who will just suck the life smooth out of you sometimes. And there are things, this, in addition to the solar plexus thing I showed, this is another thing that you can do to keep that from happening to you. You don't want it to. If you're around someone who's negative all the time, and I'm not being judgy here. I'm just saying this is the thing I do so that I can be around people no matter what their circumstance, and it's not so draining and exhausting, and I don't find myself getting annoyed with them. I've been in unsafe situations. I've lived in places that were not safe when I was in college, and I hadn't gotten a good job yet. Things like that. These are things that I've used, as far as I've used this for protection. I learned it when I was a child. My mother taught me how to do it. I honestly feel like, in my opinion, it is my greatest asset. It is the thing I do that, to me, I consider the most valuable tool in my toolbox. in my toolbox. I consider this the most valuable thing I know how to do. So that is part of the reason I want to get it out to other people, to teach them these things, because I feel like it is an invaluable tool for people. It, it has just helped me over the years. Just, I worked in hospitals, and a hospital, in my opinion, is a vortex. People coming in, people going out. It's a constant exchange of energy. So it made me feel safer when I worked at a hospital. It's just been many a given situation where this has come. I have been so glad to know how to shield myself. I had a friend. I told them about it, and they used to laugh and say I was like Star Trek when they put the shields around the ship. I was like, shields up, and I'd always kid around and go shields up and do this thing on my wrist. To me, it's a shield around what I call your aura or your light body. It's more like your aura, because I feel like your light body is more closer to you physically. But your aura, is the area where I always look at it like it's an arm's distance for most people. How when people get up in your space and they get too close to you, you get annoyed by it because they're crowding you. Well, they're getting in your auric field. So that's why it feels so uncomfortable, especially if it's someone you don't know, or you feel like they're being pushy about getting into your space. It's because they're getting in your aura, So what this does is I put this around the outside of my aura. I find that it's, your aura is your energy that you emit. It's your protection. I do recommend for people, and you do you, boo. I'm just telling you what I have found, that especially if you're psychic or empathic, I find that it tends to be best if you not do a lot of drugs and alcohol. And I'm not telling people how to live their lives. I'm telling you what I have found for myself to be the safest thing. Because a lot of times drugs and alcohol limit your auric field and limit your natural protection that you emit with your aura. And it also can create, like, where you're not there, it can create holes where things can come in and get attached to you. And then you have to run them off, the things that come around or latch onto you. I am going to now show you, I have a whiteboard here, and I'm going to draw a picture of what it is that I'm doing when I'm telling you about shielding. I'm going to show you how you do it. I could describe it, but I find that actually for people to understand what I truly mean, it's best to draw a picture of it, so that they actually get the idea of what it is that I'm trying to describe to you, so you understand. If you have a visual image, it makes it easier to put it in your mind. And your aura, is around you like this. We have our auric field, which is around us like this. And what shielding is to me is the additional measure of light and a barrier that you put around the outside of your aura. Like this, around the aura, your aura itself. Okay? So how I've always told people to do this is, you're sitting here, you've got your aura around you. I always describe it as this. I start at my feet and I form it around myself. And the trick is, you need to sit still and close your eyes and focus on what I'm talking about here. It might take a little practice, And I do gold. I did white light for years and years, but I haven't found, and maybe it's different for you, and maybe you're drawn to do a different color. I tell people it's the point of the exercise. You may have a different perception of how it should work for you. And I always tell people go with that. Like, my sister, she does like strings of white light that form around her to completely form a barrier around her body. Me, I just sit and I start at my feet and I go up and around and I'll feel it. When it closes, when you fully form the barrier around your body, you'll feel it click and you'll know. So the trick is to have patience with this, especially if you've never done it. Sit down, be still, and form your shield. And it'll be something you'll have to practice at to get faster at. And it gets easier as you do it. Just like how meditation, any exercise you do, it's a type of muscle, in my opinion. And it's a spiritual muscle. So it gets easier the more you do it. So I recommend to people, practice until you'll feel it. And you have to sit and you got to picture this in your mind. So you got to picture it like this in your mind. I do gold. I used to do white, but I don't find that white works like it used to. I got where I couldn't form a shield and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I started doing a gold shield and it worked just fine. But if you feel led blue, pink, violet, green, if you feel led to do another color, then of course, just do whatever color. And if forming a circle around yourself, like I'm talking about, like your feet up, clicking it closed, if that doesn't feel comfortable for you, if you feel like you should go head down and around to the bottom of your feet, do that. It's just, however, if you feel led to, pull the color, put it from inside out and form the gold shield around you, do that. What I'm saying is consciously putting up a light barrier around yourself to protect your energy with additional energy provided by your mind, your focus, your concentration. And like I said, it may be something that you have to do a couple of times, or it could be something that works pretty easily. I'm kind of thinking that since we have our natural aura anyway, it's not going to be super complicated, but it might be for some people. Not everybody, visualization is easy for everyone. But I find that I will do it depending on if I'm out around the public, especially. I'll do it every time I feel overwhelmed. I'll re-shield myself. If I know I'm going to go around the public, I shield myself. If I just have a reason to not feel safe, I shield myself. I do this, I don't know, there are times when I do it all day, every day, all day long, constantly. And other times where I feel like my shield is fine and I don't need to reinforce it. But the trick is to sit down, still your mind, and work on forming it. And you will. It feels to me like it clicks shut when it does it for me. I feel like it snaps shut when I form it around myself. And say if you're out and you don't feel safe, you can do this around yourself. So, or if you, like I said, if you work with the public, this is something that you can do, and you will find after a while of doing it, you will find that you automatically start doing it in a situation where you feel uneasy or unsafe, or, God forbid you're in a bad part of town, or something about where you're at starts to feel weird and you don't know. I just figure better safe than sorry, like in Star Trek, the shield's up around the ship, So this is what you do. So it's just more like, sitting down and in your mind's eye, practicing it and then forming it around your body, and just keep at it until you can see it. All right. And I'm going to show an image of like a person in a plastic bubble, because that's like a more, instead of a little sketch, that's a more concrete 3D version to put it in your head. but that is how it works. When I do the gold, the gold I use, if that's what you feel led to do, if you feel, like I said, don't stick to my color. If you're not led to use that, if you're led to use blue, red, whatever color you're led to use the color you're drawn to. If you want to do white, white works for you, do that. But I'm going to show you a picture. It's almost like sunbeams through the forest is how I picture what it looks like to me, the gold. It's like a glowing gold light is how I do it around myself now. Because for whatever reason, in the last year or so, the color that I've had to use a different color to get it to be an effective method for me. Something has shifted either with me or with the energetic field of the earth. I don't know which, but however I need to do it to feel safe, it's what I do. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.